When you hear about a big fight card get announced, it's easy to focus on the main event. That's the one that's got all the buzz behind it. That's the one that everybody's been talking about. That's typically going to be the most popular guys fighting for the biggest stakes. So when we look at this card, Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez in the rematch, it's easy to focus on those two at the top. Everybody knows them. Everybody's been impressed with performances they've put on in the past. But if you neglect the undercard, if you don't look at that, you're going to miss a lot of young, highly talented fighters early on in their career. And there's a lot to be seen there. And one of the guys that I want to focus on that was on the undercard of this one is DJ Zamora. Now, I've had the pleasure of having DJ Zamora on the show twice, got to interview him, so I've been able to see him from a slightly different inside look kind of relative to how you may see a lot of other fighters. Now, I remember the first time I had this dude on and I was talking to him, one of the things that he said was he wants to be more active. He used to be with PBC, then he turned over and he signed with Top Rank. Since then, we've seen him fight 3 times just since June. Phenomenal when you see a young fighter in the ring. Since we've seen him in there, he's been improving every single time. Now, look, I don't know what he was doing beforehand, but I swear, man, I'm sitting here, I'm watching these fights. The amount of growth and improvement that I've seen from him in his last 3 fights has probably been more than in all of his other fights put together. So I don't know if all of a sudden it just kind of clicked for him. I don't know if he's working with his trainer a little bit differently. Maybe him and his trainer have just reached some kind of, unspoken of connection where they're feeling each other a little bit more. Maybe it's just because he's older and he's grasping the game a little bit. I don't know what it is, man, but there's a lot of people who would look at somebody and say, hey, he's been a pro for 5 years already. Hey, this is already his 15th fight. We expected him to be here. He's only here. This guy doesn't have what it takes. You couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be more wrong, right? And I bring it up because the announcers mentioned it. How do we look at a guy like that? And I would say what you need to focus on isn't the amount of fights he had. What you need to focus on isn't when he turned pro, because he turned pro early down in Mexico. Those are some things that people want to focus on if they're haters, or those are some things that people want to focus on if they're trying to compare him to somebody else. The 2 stats that stand out the most to me: 20 years old. Why is that important? Because it's a young guy. And young guys still have this desire and this motivation and this ability to learn that you typically don't catch from older fighters. So you got a young guy at 20 years old. And here's the key. This is really what brings it all together. The man is improving significantly fight to fight, which means that he's out there working hard, which means that he's out there learning, which means that he has that desire and that motivation and that ability to be taught. The ability to learn something in the gym and then go out there and execute it in the ring. I mean, look at what we saw from him out there tonight. Great balance, great punch selection, great counter punching, brutal body shots. And this is the thing, man. A lot of guys then when they're young, they don't go to the body. They neglect it. We look on ESPN and we see these highlight reel knockouts and everything. It's typically from guys landing headshots. You think about the knockouts of the year and all of these guys getting face planted into the floor. It's because they're landing headshots. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be talked about in the buzz and get the big money and all this kind of stuff. So they go out there and they try to do the same thing that they've seen from other people. But if you don't invest in the body, you're neglecting it. If you don't become a significant, ferocious body puncher, you're missing out. So when I see a young guy who goes out there and he invests to the body and he does it early and he does it often, he's able to go out there and end a fight with it. He counters to the body. Look at this first knockdown. The man slipped a shot and countered to the body. You don't see those type of things very often. And it speaks to the development. It speaks to the improvement. It speaks to how he's continuing to grow and develop and get better. I can't wait to see what's next for him. I got to imagine he's going to be out here, who knows, probably February, March, something like that. He likes to fight. He's with a promoter that will get you in the ring and keep you busy. He didn't suffer any punishment in this one. Didn't go long. He's not going to have some kind of extended layoff or anything like that. Keep your eyes on this young man. Highly talented, highly motivated. The future's incredibly bright. Take a look at the fight. Let me know what you guys think. Am I reading into it too much? Am I a little bit biased because I know him and we're cool and I had him on the show a couple times? Or is this something where a lot of people just haven't realized what it is that he brings to the table yet? Let me know.